All right, so got the Bobcat T200 in here. This thing is leaking oil like crazy. And I don't know if any of you ever had one of these T200s. It is not liquid cooled, it cools the oil. So she runs low on oil, she starts to overheat. Now I can see that the oil is coming from the back side of the engine, or not the side that you can see, the inside where you gotta lift the seat up and climb up underneath there. But I can't tell if it's coming from the turbo or it's coming out the overflow, or the breather I should say, on the valve cover. I honestly think this engine just has so much blow by on the rings that it's just blowing it out, the breather on the valve cover. But we're gonna get into it and we're gonna find out. And hopefully I don't have to do a complete engine rebuild on this thing, but honestly I'm thinking that's where we're going to be going with it. So, and I see oil, I don't know if you can see that, get the light, on top of this engine up here, right there, and right there's the breather. So I can't tell if it's, if you look down on the bottom of this thing, it is just covered in oil. I mean, when this thing is running, it is just puking oil out. So what sucks is you can't see on the back side of this engine. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this air filter housing out of here, and I'm gonna set the GoPro up in there so that I can record the backside of the engine with the machine running. I think we'll just make it so that exhaust blows out my window over there. We'll rig it up with a tube or something and let it run in here with the camera, and hopefully I can see where exactly it's leaking oil from. All right, let's do that. So I turned the machine and blasted the exhaust outside and climbed up inside there and made a video with my phone because it has a flashlight on it. And as far as I can tell, this thing is just blowing a ton of oil out the overflow. So I mean, this thing's got 5,000 hours, and as much as I don't want to, we're gonna pull this engine out and rebuild it. All right, we got the exhaust off. And you can see, get the light in here. This is the breather right here, and it has been just blowing oil out of it. So I'm gonna say this engine's just tired. There's really nothing. All right, so we got it to the point. Let's see here. We got to the point where I think we're ready to pull it out. Honestly, it was nowhere near as hard as I thought it was going to be to get to this point. The hardest part was back in the back here. It's the motor mount. You got to reach around and kind of blind pull some bolts out. I just removed the alternator there, and I was able to get right in there. And then you remove the flywheel, and we get to there's some motor mount bolts in there. And we got one right there. So we're gonna yank on this thing, and hopefully it comes out. We'll see. two more. Well, 2 bolts in that rear motor mount. Great. I love when my hands get so sweaty I can't get the glove on. Oh yeah, feels like there's 4 bolts back there. 4. Ugh. All right, now that we got it out, you see the back side of this thing. I had actually reached through the machine when I bought this a year ago and pressure washed the back side of this engine. And so this is what it's looked like after a year use. But you look around back in here, I mean, the only place it could have been leaking is this overflow. So she's tired. Oh, plus, man, we got a mess to clean up inside here. It is late tonight. It's like midnight. So I think what we're gonna do, I'm filthy, I'm dirty, is get cleaned up and come out tomorrow. And probably pressure wash this engine down. And while I got it, I'll clean out the back of this machine and clean the shop up before we tear this down and start rebuilding it. But yeah, that wasn't nowhere near as bad as I thought I was going to be getting it out. I tell you, it's going to be fun getting this plate right here. This is the rear motor mount plate. Getting it lined back up. Yeah, not being able to see it, just reaching behind trying to get them bolts lined up is gonna be fun. All right, there it is. Had to make sure we got the bike covered up. Little pressure wash, a little air wash. Get her up on an engine stand. Looking pretty clean. Clean enough to start tearing it down. It was really, really dirty. All right, we got her over here on the engine stand, got her cleaned up. I have never ever been inside of one of these, is it pronounced Deutz diesel engines, oil cooled diesel engine. I've never been inside one. I've been inside lots of engines, but never one of these. So this is going to be new for me, a new challenge. I think the goal tonight is to get down far enough to where I can see how bad the cylinders are. Can I just get away with slapping some new pistons and rings in it, or am I going to need to put some sleeves in there? So. All right, let me bring you all in on this. I'm gonna tell you that for as many hours that is on this machine, 5,000 hours, I can still see the cross hatching from when this engine was originally. Let me turn my screen on here, see if you can see it. Can you see the cross hatches in there? They are still in there. And I'm not seeing like a burnt piston or anything. So it's got to be just some broken rings. I'm thinking just some pistons and some rings. I can't believe we had so much blow by. I'm gonna do some more investigation. I mean, the head doesn't look bad, but I mean, you can see like the major buildup is right where that breather was, sitting on top of this head. I'm thinking just slap some new bearings in it. Oh, look at the flashlight in here. Slap some new bearings in this bad boy. Some valve seals here. Pistons and rings. I think we're gonna be good to go. Good morning. Today we're going to get this engine torn down. Getting ready to take it apart. One thing I noticed and I want to make sure that I'm aware of, make sure I pay attention to, is these pistons are off-centered. So, but I cleaned this piston up and it looks like it has an arrow pointing forward, so I'm going to replace these pistons, but I'm going to make sure I mark the rods front and back, and we'll mark them 1, 2, 3, 4 as we take them out and clean them and get these cylinders cleaned up and honed down.
I can't do nothing with you.
These bearings are roached. I've seen a couple bearings in my day, and those are hit. They're a standard bearing, which is good news. And this is a standard piston. It's even got the year on it. 2001 is when this machine was manufactured. So we got standard bearings, standard pistons. Crank looks fine though. It'll polish up. A little bit of a something. It'll polish up. The cylinders look fine. So we're gonna order some standard bearings for this thing. New pistons, new rings, new gaskets. It's probably best that I pull this thing apart now anyways. Before something happened to it. It had run low on oil because it was leaking so bad. It gets out on jobs and guys don't check the oil. So it had run low on oil and overheated one day. So best that I did this now.
I can't do nothing with you.
Okay, quick update here. I think I found the problem with this engine because I was going over these pistons and they're scarred and they need to be replaced and it needs new rings, and these bearings were cooked. You can see where this bearing had actually melted. See the little lip on there where it had melted, so it needed some bearings, obviously. New pistons and rings, but the reason why I tore this thing apart is because it was puking oil out the back of the engine, and I thought it was because it was, you know, the compression was so bad, or so much compression was leaking past the rings that it was blowing out this what I thought was a breather, but what this really I think is, it is a breather, but what it does is it lets oil come in, and then it traps the oil in here, and only air can go down this little hole, right? Which goes down here into the head, comes out this side tube here, and then gets fed into the turbo. But what has happened is this seal here has shrunk. And can you see how loose it is? I think this seal had gone bad, and that's where my leak was the whole time, and why this engine ran out of oil. Not that it doesn't need rebuilt, it's got 5,000 hours, but this seal was my problem the whole time. So if you got one of these engines puking out the back of it, bam, right there. All right, let me see if I could find this part. All right, I don't know where we left off here. I just got back from Tennessee, rolled in to Ohio, and then of course it's snowing. We may have to go out and plow, but I'm gonna try to get some work done on this engine. I don't know where we left off, but I do know, like, I'm all new to this filming and editing. I'm learning as I go. I had one of those stupid things on my head that you attach the GoPro to, and I was doing some honing on the cylinders, but I lost that, or the footage was terrible. So anyways, we honed out these cylinders. I'll make a real quick video and just show you how I do it. I just took a hone to a drill and blasted in and out nice and slow. Hit it with some brake clean, keep it clean, keep the stones moving in there. But got the cylinders honed out. They look pretty good. We are going to reuse the pistons. Pistons aren't bad. They got some scarring, but not horrible. I really did have to do a lot of work cleaning out the ring grooves, man. But you know, I had a video on it. I wasn't able to use it. But the pistons aren't horrible. They're definitely usable. I mean, if I'd have had the money, I'd have replaced them, but you know, starting this company off, you gotta save money wherever you can. These will work. Well, we got them reassembled. Wrist pins are nice and tight. There's no slop in them at all. Rods are fine, perfectly fine. Alright, so what else we got? Oh, remember I talked about the black smoke. I think I did not lose the video where I talked about this was bad. What I thought was a breather. It kind of is a breather, but it kind of traps the oil down in here, and you know, sends the air back that the engine pushes out back to the turbo. So we got a new one of those now. But this turbo is dead. This is probably where all the black smoke is coming from, and all the oil that was coming out of the engine. Turbo shot. So we got a new turbo. They changed the turbos a little bit. I don't have the new turbo put up here. They changed the way there's a little piece that attaches to here. Oil comes in the top of this turbo from the engine. It's fed and then drains back down into the block through this. They changed the way this attaches, so we're going to do a little work to that. New bearings. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to let's see here, where we're going to start. Probably install the main bearings, and then we'll get to installing pistons and rods. Look at this, dude. Like, I don't even know what I'm recording. You know what I'm saying? Dude, you know what I'm saying? No. I don't know what I'm saying either. What do you think these main bearings look like, Lee?
I don't know.
What do you think here? They're gonna be small. I bet you they're smoked. Some of them are smoked. Oh, we fell off the cap, so it's kind of loose. Let's see, Lee. Well, this one is probably the furthest from, let's see. Can you see this? A little later on there. Yeah, they're kind of cooked. They're a little cooked. You see that? I mean, they're not horrible. This one, not the greatest, but they're not like, that one rod bearing was melted out the side of it. Melted out the side, so. Definitely due for a change, that's for sure. In case you're wondering, yes, you can get the main bearings out of this engine without pulling the crankshaft out. I'm not pulling the crankshaft out. I did the timing in this engine. Put a new timing belt on it, put on its timing components in this engine, like, I don't know, 10 months ago, so we're not pulling the crank out. We're not doing all that. We're just slowly, let's see if I can get you down in here. Take a little work to get it out. The other two came right out, but they slide right in. Just put a little assembly lube on the bearing and it'll slide right in. I'm not sure what this is looking like on this GoPro. right, that slid right in. This middle one is the thrust washer on this engine. Assembly lube on that. Even though this crankshaft is full of oil, all these journals are full of oil, so it's really not going to be like a dry startup. I still like to pop assembly lube on there. Maybe over here. All right, this thing's calling for. What is it? 36 foot-pounds. These main bearings, 36 foot-pounds. A 60 and a 45 turn. Like what? Are you pointing at the thing, Leroy?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you are. Can you see?
Yes,
so
I
let's
can
get a
see.
36 on all of them. What's the guy's name behind the camera? What is his job? Technically, we're gonna have to find him and add it in.
A camera guy.
Just the camera guy. The video camera guy. That's it?
Yeah.
All right, 60. Let's take an educated guess. What is 60? So, I mean, if this is 45, right? That's 45. That's 60's here. Like, why would they say 60 and 45? All right, we're just guessing here. That's what we're doing. We're just gonna put some pressure on this bad boy. So if we go from there. Dude, there's no way these things are 60! And then for another 45? There's no way.
No way in hell.
There's no way. No way. There's no way. I'm gonna have to look this up again. All right, so I had it wrong.
You had it wrong.
Yeah, I'm talking to the camera here, Lee. All right, so let's see if I can get this, because we're gonna have to go back and redo these real quick. So I was going way past 90. I was going like 120 degrees. This is 45. That's 60, and that's 90. So I was just doing it wrong. No wonder it was so hard. We're gonna go back and redo those. All right, real quick, I'm gonna show you how I hone out a cylinder. Yeah. I just took my hone to a drill. That's it. Thanks for the help, Lee.
Yeah.
All right, let's get these pistons in. One thing I like to do when I'm installing pistons after I hone cylinders out is just take a little bit of oil. And just lube the cylinder down a little bit. And then fill the ring groove, the oil ring groove full of oil. Just kind of pour it down in there a little bit. That way we don't have a dry start on these rings, on these brand new rings.
Coffee.
Thanks, bud. Did you put a little ice cube in there, cool it down, or am I gonna smoke my mouth when I have a drink of that?
Oh.
I already know the answer. Thank you much,
No,
buddy.
you didn't put no ice cube in.
I know you trying to kill me.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I know.
Hot water ain't.
I already know.
Hot coffee ain't gonna kill you.
I swear. You ever had McDonald's coffee?
Huh?
I swear, you ever had McDonald's coffee? They try to kill you. Like, why does coffee? I get it. I want my coffee hot, but why does it have to be that hot? Huh? I guess their theory is, it's hot by the time you get to work. I don't want my coffee by the time I get to work. I gotta work. I want my coffee on my way to work. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, is that why they do that?
I don't. You tell me. Why is it 900 degrees when you get it?
Don't know.
You tell me. You tell me, Lee.
Could not tell you.
What we got? What is that?
German chocolate brownie.
Fuck, dude. You don't get fat. This is what's making me fat, Lee.
That you're retaining all the water.
I'm gonna have to bleep that out. It's a good thing I went back to the valve lash one more time before I close this valve cover up. Look. Yeah, I don't know what I did there, but that's a little too much. All right, let's fix this valve lash before we close this thing up. All right. Getting there. Got the valve cover on, fuel lines on. I wanted to point this out real quick though. This is that, like the new breather. And the reason, this was really what was wrong with this engine this whole time, this thing. And what made me think that the pistons had so much blow by that it was this O-ring that was leaking. But this little cover, like I thought it was kind of like a breather, like, you know, like an old Chevy 350 had like a breather on the valve cover. But that's not how the system works at all. This really must be just like a guard that protects that, because it doesn't really breathe there, right? It sends air, or it lets air, kind of traps the oil and lets the air go down into the turbo. I just wanted to point that out. This looking Pepsi cap looking thing is what made me think that was a breather, but it's really air breathed through there. It doesn't. Doesn't really breathe through there. I think this just, I mean, it's just like a, just protects it. All right. I think we're about to the turbo. We gotta get the turbo installed. We gotta do a little bit of work to that new turbo, so let's get that done. Alright, I had to run to the shop to weld this, but I ended up just cutting it off and welding it to a threaded piece of pipe into this little adapter. It ain't the prettiest, but it'll work. It'll work. I just had to get this the same length. It was like 2 1/8 inches. It's gonna work. Good morning. Let's get this freaking engine in this machine today. Say good morning, Lee. Lee's over here chaining this thing down. It's taking him 5 hours. Let's go, Lee. Hurry up. Quit rushing, he says. Quit rushing me. Power's off. All right, got these inner motor mounts. I guess you could call them like a motor mount. They just bolt to this plate, which houses the pump up there. Got these bolts in here. Let's get the flywheel installed. I'm gonna tell you, the flywheel for this thing is it's not light. Man, Lee, they do not make it easy to get this flywheel in here. That's for sure. There. Shoot. Make it so close. There it goes. All right. I think we're far enough ahead. My face is pretty dirty, huh? I think we're far enough ahead to where we can start this bad boy. Moment of truth. Let's try it. It's got oil in it. Let's get this cab down. What sucks is it's probably gonna smoke this garage out. Let's see. Oh, there she goes. She's starting to go. Let's hit them glow plugs one time. Actually sounded really healthy. I mean, it smoked a bit at first. I expected that because obviously the turbo was bad. So it probably puked a ton of oil into that exhaust. But it sounded good. And the oil slowed down, the smoke. So I think we're going to be good. Let me finish putting this back together and we'll get her outside and get her running out there, get her warmed up. So, I'll show you. We got her back in the garage. It's running good. No leaks. Sounds good. It's a little hard on startup, so I'm wondering if it starts and runs fine now, but I'm wondering if maybe we don't have a fuel pump going bad on us. I'm gonna replace that too. But we're gonna call the engine rebuild done, and I'll order some parts for it like that. Fuel pump, I'll replace that before we go out. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna address the ugly paint job on this. So I'll see you in that video. Like and subscribe. Thanks.